Good morning, everybody. I hope that you guys are all doing well. My eye looks kind of funky. Sorry about that. That is weird looking. I didn't notice that. The camera, the lights in the camera does weird things. But anyway, I'm here with you now. All right. So, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about a variety of little nuggets of information, okay? First thing is, don't get frightened if today you see an explosion. Well, so they're telling us this is only the 9th time in, I think, history that that astronomers are actually watching an asteroid before it hits Earth. It's only happened 9 times, y'all. That scares me to death, because I would like to believe that we are such all-knowing, omniscient, powerful, science-based creatures that we've got this whole asteroid collision thing down to a fine art, and apparently we don't. So only happened 9 times before in history. It will happen again today. They only saw this, I think, like 8 hours ago. This thing is coming right for us, and it will collide. And they've only been watching it. They only saw it for the first time 8 hours ago over the Western Pacific. It's only a few feet in diameter. Now, how many times have we been hearing these things are small, but they're powerful? Okay, now then, 9th time that we've spotted an asteroid before it hit Earth. This one was previously known as CAQTDL2. It's now been renamed 2024 RW1. Are we watching you? RW1. It will arrive at around 6:08 p.m. UK time today, Wednesday, September the 4th. It will land somewhere in the Philippines, they believe Luzon Island. The European Space Agency was able to provide a fairly detailed estimate of where the object will impact. Also, they warned that there is a nearby tropical storm, and that may make it quite difficult to see the large fireball. And then they go on to say, but don't worry, don't be nervous. Earth is hit by objects from space frequently. Almost all of them are too small to make it through the atmosphere, and they pose no danger. Because they are small, it is difficult and rare to see them in advance. Some impacts do, however, cause significant damages, like the one that we saw in Chelyabinsk. That fell to Earth over Russia 2013. It was quite shocking. Happened in the middle of the day. We saw photographs, videos of it. It was amazing. It hurt 1,500 people. It caused thousands of buildings to be damaged, many of them completely destroyed, and basically tens of millions of dollars in damage. So there's that. So that's going to be happening today here in the coming hours. So if you see a bright light, don't get scared and think, oh my God, it's an explosion. The Russians are coming. No, it's just space, the final frontier. All right. Now I want to talk about this because I'm still freaked out about this whole Seth did it. Like, I'm really freaked out about it. See something, say something. We're talking about the asteroid. Good morning. What? Straight for us? Never happened before? It has happened before. This is a small one. There will be no aliens involved. Oh no. It's supposed to, for the most part, burn up in the atmosphere. If there is a little bit of the object left, it should land in the Philippines. So I think we're okay. See something, say something. Good morning. Ooh, Jackie Blue. Hi, Kelly O. Mark Klein. Welcome, my friend. Hey, Tennessee volunteer gal. How are you? Karen Alberini. Seth is his own worst enemy at times. He just wants to be cleared so the Cold Case Foundation can come on board. So he has to be cleared first, just like KP has to be cleared. Massachusetts here, I think Seth used a poor choice of the word suspect, and everyone is taking off on him solely being looked at. Seth should have said none of them have been cleared. Yeah, Karen, totally agree on all points made. And I don't think any of them have been cleared. I think they've had their own reasons for wanting to be cleared. But regardless, the cops are working the case, right? So I also don't like the word suspect. We in the true crime community, we definitely know that being a suspect is dramatically different than being a person of interest, correct? So a person of interest just being someone that they're checking, they're looking at their story, they're doubling up, checking again, like Santa Claus, checking their list twice, right? But when you actually become a suspect, that is a completely different level of engagement and involvement, completely different. So we didn't even get, what's his name? The creepy guy with Madeline Soto, Stephen Stearns. Is that right? Stephen Stearns. They didn't even name him as a suspect until he was arrested in jail. So he wasn't a suspect for her murder. He got arrested for other reasons. And then eventually when they were ready to charge, then they changed the verbiage to you're a suspect. So I think Seth calling himself a suspect is different than a law enforcement saying we have a suspect. So I would agree, Karen, we need to be careful with that. Seth isn't only one in a missing child case to not be cleared. Brandy, thank you. Very good point. Brandy and her husband in the Michael Vaughn disappearance case also have not been cleared. And this is how it goes with investigations. People of interest are not suspects. They don't get a say-so in whether they get cleared. Law enforcement runs the show. Absolutely. Do y'all remember? Look, I have gotten some opinions from people. They do not like when they don't like when I talk about like parallels between cases. They want me to just like stick to one case. I don't know why, because everybody's doing that, right? Everybody's covering just one case or whatever. I think sometimes we learn more by looking at similarities or differences in cases historically, or even, at the same time. But I said I would try to accommodate that and not bring up other cases where I see some similarities or not. It doesn't. Somebody said, "Why are you talking about the other case? Are you trying to say that the same person who hurt Sebastian is the same person who did something in the Chris Watts case?" Absolutely not. Like, no, not even close. I'm drawing parallels for human behavior. That a parent that kills their children and another parent that kills their children, they may actually behave in a very similar fashion. That's what I'm trying to say. But apparently some people, it's too much for them to handle. They don't like it. So I think we do have to be very careful about the words and the source of those words. Is that word coming from law enforcement official, where a word like suspect has a very specific legal definition, as opposed to someone who is not really sophisticated in terms of investigations or law enforcement, and they just think, okay, well, a suspect, a person of interest, an avenue of investigation, it's all the same thing. It is simply not. Absolutely not. And just like we talked about with Barry Morpheus, see, I just did it again. Just like the other day, we talked about how a match, genetic match, a DNA match, is absolutely not the same thing as a partial match. In fact, it's dramatically different. A partial match means you're looking at a potential family member. A match is you got your guy or woman, whoever it happens to be, right? So we do have to, be very careful of that. So what are law enforcement protocols for clearing a person in a missing persons case? I think, so Ginger, I'm not going to speak as a law enforcement person because I'm not law enforcement, although I definitely have done forensic evaluations and things like that, but I'm not law enforcement. Typically, in terms of ruling out someone as a suspect or naming them as a person of interest being someone who is being investigated, right? The driving force for the most part, the first tier, the first level is there an alibi? And if there is an alibi, is it an alibi that you can get independent verification? A lot of people, probably more people than we feel comfortable with, will say, oh, yes, I have an alibi. I was at home sleeping, right? I was at home in bed asleep, like Jack D. Is that an alibi? I mean, you can say that's your alibi. You can say that's what you're doing, but can that be independently verified? And so a lot of people would say, no, you can't, unless someone is sleeping beside you, you cannot independently verify them. And there is one case in Houston. The lady said, no, he was sleeping. He was at my house. We were together. He was with me. When I woke up in the morning, he was still there. But then security camera caught the guy getting up in the middle of the night and leaving the apartment. She was apparently drunk and conked out. So she didn't even know he ever left. And the guy leaves and went and RAPE someone and then came back. And if it hadn't been for the security camera, they would have said he had an independently verified alibi. So that's a kind of chilling, right? And it's the kind of story that makes everybody want to go out and like buy their own, Ring doorbell or to put security cameras up. Because how else would this lady have known that she was sleeping with a monster, So it was very, very interesting case. Hey, Desire, good morning. Thank you for being here. You are very sweet, Desired. I appreciate you. My Google Sleep app would be a witness to my sleep. And there have been people that have definitely said, I do have verification that I was sleeping because my watch will tell you the truth that I have in fact been sleeping. So that's kind of a modern, new true crime, development that's kind of fun, right? Okay, so JLR kind of backtracking, and what is he doing? Is he making a case against Seth? I don't think so. There's a few things here in terms of like motivation. I think that JLR, he did get very angry with Seth. He felt like Seth disrespected him. He tried to help Seth. And then when the whole Cajun Navy, when that all first went down, and basically he and Dolly, citizen journalists, when they were told, go away, you're not wanted here, you're not welcome here, you're going to be arrested, get out of here. And everybody raised hell because they said, oh, JLR filmed the body. No, he didn't. He was very respectful. I was watching the stream live as it was playing out. But you know how some YouTube people are. And they really misrepresented him. He was not treated well. Made me mad. I spoke out for him and said I was watching it live when it happened. He didn't do anything wrong. He backed away. He had his camera averted. He didn't do anything what they're saying. He did not do that. Anyway, from that day forward, Seth's made some really stupid choices. Seth he is really made some crazy, to say what I want to say, I believe, it's my opinion, Seth is manipulated. And I think that JLR and others that were there from the very beginning, who went out of their way to help find Sebastian, who just offered support as a friend. Seth was influenced in a way that ended up alienating these people that really are good, decent people, that really were acting out of the goodness of their heart. They were offering their time free of charge. They were not asking for anything in return for themselves. And this creepy guy got in Seth's ear and began to manipulate him so that he destroyed this supportive circle that was around him. And when he destroyed that then made it possible for the abuser, the manipulator, to move in and make himself critical to Seth's needs. But Seth, it was done on purpose. Tony Mathis did this on purpose. He alienated your support. He pushed the people away from you that were there out of the decency, the goodness of their heart, not someone who had a personal agenda. So it's the classic abuse cycle, Seth. It's classic. The abuser comes in, gains your trust, and then they begin isolating you from your family, your friends. In the case of marriages or boyfriend, girlfriend, they'll even get the person to quit their job so they don't even have like the good feelings of like identity with their job. And the goal of the abuser is, I've got to make sure that my target doesn't have anyone around them that can say, hey, that old Tony Mathis dude, he's a bad dude. He's hurting you. Your involvement with the abuser is harming you. Get him out of your life and get things back on track. But before they can begin the abuse, they've got to get your support structure, the people that are around you that do care about you legitimately, they've got to get them out of the picture. They've got to poison your view of those people. And you fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I am 100% convinced that if someone in a position to do it, if they could look in depth between Christopher Proudfoot and Tony Mathis, they would find a history. These two know each other. I don't have any information. I don't have any receipts. Something in my gut tells me something else going on here. Something else is going on here. So whether I'm right or wrong doesn't matter. What matters is where we are today and what is happening today. And today, what is happening is that people have completely 100% turned on Seth. He is now being demonized. The most innocent of statements are now being made out to be sign of guilt. And it's only coming from YouTube creators, from influencers that have decided, well, Christopher Proudfoot is not going on panel anymore, being a jackass and showing who he is. So we need a different monster. And because Seth keeps putting himself out there, he keeps trying to talk about Sebastian and push the issues with Sebastian. We're gonna demonize him because he's the gift that keeps on giving. Tony Mathis whipped out his member on a live stream. You believe that he didn't know that people were going to talk about it? He absolutely knew people were going to talk about it and that it was going to reflect poorly on Seth. It's weird. It's the weirdest set of circumstances. So, and Tony, all of your mess about, oh, well, I showed this and I showed that. No, you didn't. No, you did, because you cannot do what you claimed, which is put an overlay and still have the chat words scrolling up on top of the overlay. You can't do that, Tony. You can't do that. So shut up. You lied. You just lied. That's just how it is. And I don't care why you did that. I don't care if it was an accident or none of that matters. What matters is there's a missing kid. That's all that matters. There's a missing kid. And since you came on the scene, nobody talks about that missing kid. It's just, well, who are we going to blame? Are we going to blame Katie? Are we going to blame Chris? Are we going to blame Seth? Like, who are we going to blame? And the reality is we don't even know what to blame. We don't even know, is the kid dead? Is he alive and living with a family member? Has he been kidnapped by strangers? No one knows. What we do know, what the police absolutely know, is that there were lies told. Wasn't there, Katie? There were tremendous lies that were told to the police. And the question is not, well, I can read minds and I know why Chris lied or I know why Katie lied. The issue is there is lie. The lies were real. They were spoken. And we don't have any way of reading minds or telling the future. All we can go by is they lied. And when do people lie? When they are trying to hide something. That's all you can say. You don't know what the secret is that's being hidden. You don't know, and maybe some of the secret was Katie's childhood. Maybe that was front and center and they thought, oh my gosh, now this has happened. All the information is going to come out. That's going to be a nightmare. Maybe that's what they were trying to overcome and not have that be exposed in 2024. It doesn't necessarily mean just because they lied, it doesn't mean that their lies had anything to do with Sebastian being hurt. But you got to tell why, not to us. Don't get me wrong. They are not accountable to YouTube or TikTok at all. But you can be certain that the police have asked them. Like, you can be absolutely certain that the police are saying, okay, why did you lie? Why did you misstate this? I mean, tell us why. Because they do have to own that. And they say, well, because there's this situation from my childhood. And, I've built a great life now, and I don't want my coworkers knowing and talking about it. And I don't want my friends in 2024 talking about it. Those conversations have happened with law enforcement, I feel sure, my guess. But none of that has anything to do with Seth being culpable, right? And I think it's so interesting that one creator and then a second creator and then a third creator, they've all have history together. They all have a background connection to one another. And it's like they all kind of followed this transition from Chris is the bad guy to no. Now let's see, we can make Seth the bad guy. And that's creepy. It seems, It's almost like premeditated murder, right? That you premeditate, you consider intentionally misleading people about a person's reputation, right? It feels strange. So one of the, and I'm not, sorry, my hair's driving me crazy. It's too long. I need to cut my bangs. So one of the little bits of information, tiny little bit of information, was this clip. And what this is related to Nancy Grace. And we remember the whole debacle with the lie detectors for Chris Proudfoot and Seth and yada yada yada. So what you're going to hear, this is a clip from the Nancy Grace show that was never aired. And it was related to the interview that happened with Seth when he went for his polygraph, and he's being questioned by Nancy's polygrapher, right? And so Seth's just answering the questions like, I don't know if you guys have ever had a polygraph. It's an interesting process, but anyway, they ask you a bunch of questions. You talk for a little while, and then they, narrow down 3 or 4 or 5 very specific questions, and then they question you on that. They don't just put you on a lie detector for 3 hours and interrogate you with a lie detector test attached. That's not how it's done. So this was part of the interview, and for whatever reason, we don't really know, Nancy Grace's team decided not to air this. And so they cut it out of the show. And I think it's interesting. And remember, we're talking about the demonization of Seth, that Seth somehow orchestrated, he conceived of a dastardly plan to disappear his child. I don't mean hurt his child, but maybe move his child to another house or something like that, to disappear his child. And then he, not only did he plot and plan, but then he successfully carried out the plan. He was able to successfully break into Katie Proudfoot's home undetected, take the child with no shoes, but say, oh, don't forget your flashlight, Sebastian. And then they were able to sneak out of the house and then walk to the waiting car and get away, and nobody was all the wiser. And Seth was appearing on camera at work throughout this plan. Sorry, this is very strict. Why are people messaging me about work? The last email was August 5th. No, it's over. Ugh, I'm not working. I'm not working. All right. So we have to accept that Seth conceived of this dastardly plan and then successfully carried it out to its end goal with no cameras catching him, and now hide him for months. Interesting, right? So this clip that was basically edited out of a Nancy Grace airing show is interesting when we consider Seth's frame of mind. Okay? Did he have malice, or did he love Sebastian, but he's just trying to save him from Christopher Proudfoot's anger? I don't know why they think, they just want to say Seth is not trustworthy. Seth did it. Seth is creepy. but then they don't say, well, why did he do it? Like, did he hurt the boy? Did he disappear the kid? Did he try to take the kid to safety? Like, what is this is your theory. It's not my theory. So people don't typically do things that will land them in jail for 20 years without a reason. So what was the goal of, if this was Seth that did this, what was the end goal? What was he trying to achieve? Well, they can't tell you that. They don't know what that is. They don't have an answer for that. So let's listen to what was cut out of the Nancy Grace show. And remember, the person that you're going to hear telling the story is actually the polygrapher, the guy who gave the polygraph test. All right, here we go.
The following are paraphrased questions and responses from Seth after a polygraph was conducted. What is your theory of what happened to your son, Sebastian? What did Seth say?
He explained to me that Sebastian was routinely taking a sleep aid, and he believes that Sebastian probably wouldn't go to sleep. So his mom, Katie, overdosed him and caused.
The following are paraphrased questions and responses from Seth after a polygraph was conducted. What is your theory of what happened to your son, Sebastian? What did Seth say?
He explained to me that Sebastian was routinely taking a sleep aid, and he believes that Sebastian probably wouldn't go to sleep. So his mom, Katie, overdosed him and caused.
Okay. Weird, right? Like, of all the people on YouTube and TikTok commenting on this case, no one had come up with this idea that somehow Sebastian was taking a medication and was overdosed, right? That originated from Seth. We didn't think that. I never even considered medication being used and him being harmed from medication. So I do think it's incredibly interesting that Seth had this potential thought, this possibility. He had other possibilities too in his mind. On Web Sleuths, he came right out and asked Christopher Proudfoot, did you take him and send him to a boot camp? What? So to me, listening to him and these various thoughts, that's just a man with no knowledge. He doesn't know what happened to his child. He's looking for anything. He's hanging on to any possibility other than my kid was hurt and is gone. So compare that to my thoughts on Katie. I think Katie, all right, so there's a lot about Katie's story that really bothers me, right? But the one thing about Katie that I cannot get out of my mind, and I can't think of an alternate, like a logical reason, right, is this. So everything comes to motivation. If you're a behavioral analyst, or if you do forensic evaluations, testing, whatever, everything always comes back to motivation. A lot of law enforcement people will say, no, it is what you did. That's what's the most important thing. It's what you did. But as a psychologist, it's not what you did. It's what was the motivation. Because trust me, the best laid plans can fall completely to pieces, right? And so there's a lot of people that want to do something, they want to achieve something, but because life is funny that way, it just doesn't work out like that. And accidents happen and bad things happen, right? So I always like to consider motivation. Like, what were they thinking? What was the end goal? What was there any benefit for potential benefit for this person and this assumed behavior? And so motivation, then, if you're considering motivation, that leads you to theory of mind, right? That leads you to frame of mind. Why was a person standing at the corner of Walgreens peeking toward the back at 2 a.m.? It's not a behavior people typically will do, right? It's 2 a.m., Walgreens closed. There shouldn't be anything behind the building at 2 a.m. if there's nothing in front of the building. And if there is, it's probably no good. So if you see someone standing at the corner of a Walgreens building at 2 a.m. and they're peeking in the back, what do we know about frame of mind? They're either afraid, frightened, or they hear something that or know of something bad going down. There's really no other reason for that behavior to be there. Well, I always get up at 2 a.m. and go for a walk, and walking past the Walgreens is just normal. And I probably was seen there. Okay, but you weren't just seen at the Walgreens. You were actually standing with your body behind one corner, looking around toward the back. You weren't just walking. No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, because we got you on camera, buddy. So either you were afraid someone was after you and you were hiding, or you had awareness that something bad was happening and you were looking, like, what's going on back there, right? So frame of mind, theory of mind, frame of mind. So I think about that with Katie. And I think about her getting up in the morning to wake her son, and she can't find him. He's gone. I can't find him. I'm standing in his bedroom and he's not here. Oh, well, did you look behind the bed? Oh, no, let me look behind the bed. Did you look in the backyard? No, let me go look in the backyard. Did you look in the kitchen? Sometimes he likes to get up and cook breakfast. Oh, I got to go get in the kitchen and look and see if he was making breakfast. That is not realistic, is it? That did not happen. Of anything we know did or didn't happen, that story that Mr. Chrisser was on the phone instructing Katie where to look and how to look, that is nonsense. If you are a mother or a grandma, I'm a greenie. If you're a mother or a grandma and you wake up and the kid is not there, or your husband is not there, the dog is out of the fence, he's not there, do you immediately call in meltdown and say, oh my God, I can't find him? Oh my God. I made that screechy on purpose. Okay. Are you going to do that? Of course not. You're going to go in to wake him up and turn the light on, and you're going to be like, where is he? And then you're going to leave the room and walk down the hall toward the bathroom. Sebastian, are you in the bathroom? No answer. Open the door. Well, where is he? Then you may stand there and yell, Sebastian, and listen. No answer. Where is he? Sebastian, what are you doing? Come here. Still not a word. Now you go and you look out the back door into the backyard. Maybe he's got the dogs back there. Sebastian, nobody's there. And then you walk out the front door and you may look up and down the street. Oh, look, my neighbor's out. Let me walk over here and see. I can't find Sebastian. Did y'all see him out here this morning? That's how it goes. And as soon as you've sort of checked all these different places, checked in with people that might already be standing out there, then your heart begins to pound. And then you go, oh my God, oh my goodness, we have a problem here. So then when your heart begins pounding and you begin to get very concerned because Sebastian is in none of the expected places, right? You've looked now in all of the places that you might expect him to be. Then you think, maybe he's at the school. You jump in your car You tear off toward the school, looking along the way. You don't see him there at all. And then what do? Now you start with the unexpected, but possible. You call that telephone number. Seth, please tell me you have our child. That's how it goes. Please tell me he contacted you. Please tell me your mom picked him up. Please do that. And then Seth says, no, haven't seen him, haven't heard from him. No. And then you say, holy shit, I got to call 911. Then, after I've called 911, the biological father's on his way. Maybe I've contacted my own parents or sister or best friend. They're headed over. And I'm now really looking all over, anywhere I can think of, all over, maybe even go into the school and say, we can't find Sebastian. Please call me if he shows up. Please, please, please be on the lookout for him on the playground. But we can't find him, so I need you guys to know that. Correct? This story, Katie, that you guys told, it is simply not consistent with human behavior. It just isn't. What did Christopher Proudfoot say to Seth? When Seth, they don't even call the proper number to get Seth on the phone. It's like they were delaying having to talk with Seth, but not delaying in a way that would say, Seth has been uninvolved. He's not an engaged parent, because Katie herself says, if Sebastian's got something going on, his dad is front center being Sebastian's biggest cheerleader. Katie said that about Seth, right? So why would Christopher Proudfoot, Mr. I'm just a little badass, why in the world would he call this man, and his words were what? Who knows the words? Who knows what he said? Seth, don't get mad. Don't get mad. Katie can't find Sebastian. What? That's how you inform an involved, loving father in our kid has gone missing. That you call and you say, okay, don't get mad now. Don't get mad. We can't exactly find Sebastian. Don't get mad. Are you crazy? What gives you the level of arrogance to speak to Seth Rogers like that when it's his child and Katie's child that's gone missing, not Christopher Proudfoot's child? The level of arrogance is mind-numbing, truly mind-numbing. Don't get mad now. Don't get mad. Katie can't find Sebastian. And we've called the cops, and just don't get upset. That is that is insane to even react in that way. To speak to a parent like that about their child is just incredible. It's just unbelievable, really. So there's something really disconcerting that Christopher Proudfoot called Seth and said, don't get mad, but we can't find Sebastian. There's something about that in terms of frame of mind and motivation that I cannot shake. And it is that he'd never, not for an instant, not for one moment, did he ever have the hope or the consideration or the possibility that Seth got Sebastian. Never occurred to him. Didn't occur to Katie either. Neither one of them. Is that strange? Doesn't that strike you as just bizarre. Even to think if your child goes missing, you kind of stop a minute and you think, well, maybe they went to the next door neighbor's house. Why? Why would you think maybe they went to the neighbor's house, or maybe he went to his biological father's house? Why would you think that? Because it's what the kid knows. No one jumps right to, oh my God, my child's been abducted by a pedophile. That no one jumps to that for a lot of different reasons. Number one, it's too horrifying of a thought. It's a real life nightmare. And nobody wants to jump into the middle of a nightmare where their child is being harmed. No one wants that. I mean, I've seen parents before where the child has been killed in a car wreck, and they're in the hospital, like the emergency room, and the doctors are trying to explain to the parent what happened, why the child didn't survive, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen parents get physically aggressive and angry, yelling at the doctor, why are you doing this? Why are you lying about my child? Do you think this is some kind of practical joke? This is not funny. That's how much denial that loving parents go through when they are confronted with the shock that, hey, your kid is just gone. Our brain we can't deal with it. We can't let that happen. And so very intelligent people would prefer to believe that a physician in an emergency room would play a practical joke on them and say your child's dead when really they're not. They would prefer to believe that than to believe what the doctors are saying to them. It's about as awful of an experience as you've ever seen. The level of denial, because the idea that your child is hurt is just too much. You just can't deal with it. So that's why I say with theory of mind and statement of mind or frame of mind, the story is not real. And any psychologist there in Tennessee can tell CBI that. They have their own psychologists that work for them. It's not real. It didn't happen that way. So the fact that Chris contacted Seth and said, don't be mad, we can't find Sebastian. And there was no thought of, do you have him? Did he call you? Have you heard from Sebastian? Christopher Proudfoot was absolutely firm. He knew Seth had not heard from Sebastian. He knew it. Katie never considered that Seth knew anything about what happened to Sebastian. They never even considered that Seth knew anything about it. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, Christopher, why would you say to a father who's about to get what amounts to the worst imaginable news possible, why would you say, now, Seth, don't get mad? Really? Doesn't it make more sense that you would be like, now look, Seth, this is going to be very difficult. I've got some really bad news for you. Please understand, we've called the cops. The cops are here. This is going to be hard. Are you with someone? Make sure you're sitting down, because what I'm about to say is going to be very upsetting. Mad? Don't be mad. You know what that sounds like, Christopher? That sounds like someone who has the frame of mind that they did something wrong and they're about to get called on the table for it. Don't get mad. I pushed him and he hit his head, and I'm so sorry. Please don't be mad. I never intended for that to happen. I never wanted to hurt him. That's what it sounds like. Don't be mad your child is missing. What? That's so nutty. It's so crazy. Now, so that is specific to Christopher Proudfoot, that Christopher seems to know what happened to Sebastian. Christopher seems to already know that Seth is not going to have any information about the kid. None. Which is interesting, isn't it? Doesn't mean he did anything, but he does know. And for Katie, there's a point that I can't shake. And I think it is critical. I think it matters. And no, somebody said, well, you can't talk about that because it may give the criminals ideas. No, the law enforcement, they already have access to forensic psychologists. They're already talking about this. This is already on the table. These two have talked so much. It's been recorded. They know the story. If she tries to change the story now, they'll all know it. That makes her, it's more consciousness of guilt if she changes now, right? So I'm not like giving away secret information, nothing like that. But here's the other thing about Katie that I think you can't ignore. And it is this. She says, if you go back through the interviews, and I'm not going to waste everybody's time and do that because we've all seen them 50 times. But if you go back and look at the interviews, she says some variation, some little change. She says over and over and over, I don't know why he left. I don't know why he walked out that door. I just don't know why he walked out that door. I don't know why he left. I don't know why he walked out that door. Now, I can make fun of the way she talks because I talk the same way. Okay. So what's important about that? Every interview, every comment, it was always the door. Always. In her mind, Sebastian stops at the door. Now I'm going to challenge you, okay? I want you to use your imagination and go to this dark, murky place where your child or your grandchild goes missing. Same exact set of circumstances as what we know about in this situation. And you wake up and your grandchild or your child is simply not where they are supposed to be. And you've looked all of the regular places and then proceeded to look in the places that were unexpected. And the police are involved and the streets are filled with searchers. Are you just going to stay in your house? I don't mean physically, I mean mentally. Are you going to continue to just say, I don't know why he walked out that door. I don't know. We were not fighting. He woke up. He was so sweet and having so much fun, and he had no reason to walk out that door. I just don't know why he walked out that door. Why would he do that? Why would he walk out the door? What's wrong with this picture, y'all? Anybody know what's wrong with the picture? Why did he I don't know why he walked out that door. Now, Christopher went a little bit further, didn't he? Well, this is going to be one of those cases law enforcement is going to talk about for years and years. And Sebastian just walked out on that front door and what? What does Sebastian do? Sebastian got through the front door. Katie never lets him get through the front door. But Christopher gets him through the front door. But then what happens when he's on the front porch? Poof! He just poofed. Poof. Poof. Just gone. And Katie's still babbling. I don't know why he would walk through that door. Now, I'm going to challenge you. Pretend that it was your kid that went missing. Even if you're an older person, look back when you had kids in the home young, right? Or your little brother or sister or your grandkids, whatever. eventually, where does your mind go? Are you really, your kid is gone, your kid is missing. Are you going to waste a lot of time worrying about what caused him to want to leave? Why did my child want to leave? Or once you accept, okay, my kid's gone. My kid clearly left somehow, some way, somehow. Child's not here anymore. Now, where does your mind go? Oh my God, please don't hurt my child. Wherever you are, please don't hurt my child. I don't know if he's in the car with someone. I don't know if one of the neighbors stole him. I don't know if he fell in the river and is drowned. I don't know where my child is, but for God's sake, don't hurt my baby. Please don't hurt my child. Aren't you going to get there? Aren't you going to eventually not even give a damn why they walked out the door? Aren't you eventually going to get to the point of, I need to protect my child. I need to take care of my child. I need to feed my. How many times have I heard a parent say, I cannot tolerate the thought of my child being hungry and cold. I cannot manage that. Wherever he is, whoever he is with, I hope they're feeding him. I can tell you I've heard that from at least 5 different sets of parents. I hope whoever he's with, they're feeding him. I hope they've given him a coat. I hope there's a blanket. I hope the person that they're with is kind. Here's one. Whoever has him, I hope they have a dog, because my child is really comforted by dogs. Those are the words and frame of mind of missing kids. The thought in their mind is still the biological drive is protect my child, protect my child, protect my child. Even if you're not the one there, how many of you have gotten a babysitter and then you're sitting there on your date and you say, excuse me, I got to call my babysitter. Everything okay? All right. Did he eat? Okay. All right. Well, yeah, he can have an extra 30 minutes of TV, but no junk food. How many people have done that? That just because you're not the one in the room with the child, you're not the one who is immediately there taking care of the kid's needs, that parental drive inside of you is still very powerful and will drive you to reach out to the person who does have control of your child and say, okay, no sugar. It's okay if he stays up a little later. If he's crying, give him his blanket, rock. He loves to be rocked. These are the thoughts. This is the theory of mind for a parent of a missing child. Katie Proudfoot never gets there. Never gets there. Every single time she tells the story, she gets really bogged down. I just don't know why he walked through that door. 3 months later, after the child's already gone, I just don't know why he walked through that door. He's not a runner. He doesn't elope. I don't know why he walked through that door. I'm so sad that he walked through that door. Katie, you're lying. I don't even mind saying it. You're not telling the truth. And the cops know that, Katie. This is not a secret. The cops know this. It's crazy. It's really, it is. And the fact that now we've got 3 YouTubers who now have jumped on the, Christopher Proudfoot bandwagon and let's destroy anything related to Seth because he's different than us. You're not even thinking. All you're doing is just coming up with bullshit. Like what you're saying about this man who demonstrates everything that we would associate with someone with zero knowledge. He doesn't know where Sebastian is. He has repeated that over and over, not because he's manipulating, but because he's filled with angst. He's like, I don't know where my kid is. I don't know what to do. He's crying on national television saying, I don't know where. I just need him back. I don't know. I don't have these answers. I don't know where he is. I don't know where he is. I just need him back. And the last person to see him was Katie. He is doing everything you expect. Well, and Mary, thank you, Mary. Please never underestimate this powerful event. This was incredible. This was Do you know that there are parents of missing kids who live in the same house for 30, 40, 50 years, even as the whole neighborhood has fallen into decay and disrepair, and the gangs have taken over, and it's a dangerous, drug-infested neighborhood? They refuse to leave the house. Why? Who knows the answer? Y'all know the answer. Why do they refuse? Why do they stay there 30, 40, 50 years, never to go on a vacation, never to leave the home, never to change their phone number? Why? Because they've got a missing kid out in the world. Their brain will not let them entertain the idea that the child is no longer alive. And all they can think of is, my child is out there, and he has, the only information that he has is what our house looked like. If I leave this house, if I go somewhere else, or if I change my phone number, I now sever the last thread of connection that child that now becomes an adult would have the ability to find me just for what they remember about the house that we lived in. They stay there for decades. Katie Proudfoot, Christopher Proudfoot, 2 weeks after Sebastian goes missing, I just don't know why he walked out that door. Poof, he just poofed off the front porch. I think we should go buy Harleys. Let's go look at new vacation. Maybe Sebastian had an insurance plan, and when we get our payoff, we'll buy us a new Harley. So let's stop by and look at all the new Harleys. Oh, yeah. And we need a little bit of time away from these crazy YouTubers. Let's take a little vacation to Mississippi. Let's go to the Yogi Bear campground. Now, I absolutely have seen circumstances where parents checked into a hotel for safety reasons. So do I understand the need to get away from publicity and things like that? Sure. No question about it. But that's not exactly the life that Christopher and Katie were living. I mean, what was it that, was it Bonnie? What was the neighbor's name that interviewed with JLR? Bobby? I think it was Bobby. Christopher Proudfoot is standing out in the road in the middle of the night, stopping traffic. What are you doing here? What business do you have here? What's your name? What? You believe that this 15-year-old kid walked away from your home, and you're out there acting like the mob is after someone in your neighborhood? That sounds like a problem with theory of mind. Like, where were you, Christopher? What was going on in your brain? What identity or role was happening that you felt motivated to go out and stop vehicles and get people's names, including minor children sitting in the back seat? What? Like, maybe you pissed some people off, Christopher. Maybe you've got some connections to some organized crime and you owed some people a lot of money, perhaps. Something must have been going on that you were so scared that you felt like you needed to take an inventory of anyone driving in or out of your neighborhood, that is bizarre behavior. That one story is nuts. Not the actions of someone who believes that they've got a 15-year-old runaway. That is not true. So you guys, you may have been able to manipulate some people. You may have gotten them on your side, and now they're doing, this character assassination of Seth. You may have been successful in doing that, but you haven't misled the law enforcement. You have absolutely not misled them. They are watching every step that you guys make. They are watching the destruction of Seth Rogers. They're paying close attention to Tony Mathis. They're watching all of this, and they are 5 steps ahead of you guys. I promise. The things that you and Katie have done are just stupid and uninformed. Low-level BS. You've made so many mistakes in terms of like investigation, being a person of interest. It's coming. It's coming, y'all. The arrests are coming. Like, I am convinced of it. They lied about the Harley pictures. He had a shirt on with Sebastian's face on it. Yeah, no, they lie all the time. I think that's the whole thing with the shoes. I don't know why Sebastian walked out that door. He didn't even have his shoes on. Until Seth walked in the door and went, well, there's his shoes. He must be here. And then she was like, oh, God, I made up this story that he ran away from home and he didn't wear his shoes because they're right here. How am I going to lie about that? Seth's already seen them. He went without any shoes. He outgrowed all his shoes. He outgrowed them all, and we hadn't started replacing them yet. Stop, Katie. Quit. That's silly. What kind of parent forces their child to walk around barefoot because their feet are too big for all their shoes? We just hadn't got around yet to replacing them. Stop. It's not real, Katie. It's not real. All right. Seth took care of him as a baby. He did the nurturing. I'm 6 foot, 290. Not very many people scare me at all. That's so bizarre, Hurt Locker. That story about him standing in the road and wanting to know who the young lady was in the back seat. I mean, really, really just crazy. Let me say this again, always try to go back to motivation. Try to put yourself in their shoes and say, what were they thinking? What would drive them to that type of behavior? That's the interesting part. Until they are all publicly announced, they are cleared, I don't believe any of it. Totally agree. And I've got a lot of problems with, we're cleared and you're not. Nanny, boo-boo. I got a lot of problem with that. We heard, for example, Christopher and Katie, well, they're sharing everything with us. The cops are talking to us and they keep us informed and they just share everything with us. I don't know why they're not talking to Seth. Okay, well, again, we can go right back to real life, not fabrication of stories. We'll go back to real life. I want you to imagine your child goes missing. Or no, we don't even have to do that. Let's just imagine your child's at school and you got to pick them up and take them to the doctor because they called and said, Mom, I'm sick. I need a doctor. Right? I got the COVID. All right. You get to the school to do your duty and collect your child and take them to the pediatrician. And when you get there, the assistant principal, the security guard, they all meet you at the front and they say, you can't see your child. In the beginning, you're going to go, what are you talking about? I need to get my kid so I can take him to the doctor. They called, they said they got fever, they don't feel well. They went to the nurse's office. So I'm here to get my child. I need to check them out. And the principal's saying, you're not going to be allowed to take your child today. In fact, we have already called an ambulance and CPS. CPS is going to accompany your child to the hospital to see about the fever and the cough and the sniffles. And CPS will be in touch. Question. Are you going to be friendly? Put a one, just say, yes, I'll be friendly, or hell no, I will be a raging, you know what? Let me just see. Y'all take a look. We got about 100 people in here. If they say you're not going to take your child, we're going to transport your child, and CPS is going to be there to accompany the child, you cannot see your sick child. Are you going to be friendly and accommodating? Or is it possible that things may get broken? Let's see. I just want to see how many of you can put your imagination into that moment where you're being denied access to your child. And Kelly, oh, thank you. Okay. Me and Kelly, we're going to get arrested, okay? we are going into lunatic, lose my shit mode, correct? Lose it, a raging, freaked out monster devil. Yes. You're not going to be accommodating. You're not going to be easy to get along with. You're going to lose your mind. You're going to say, are you insane? You do not have the right to keep me from my child. There is absolutely no reason for CPS to go anywhere with my child. And if my child is having a health problem, I need to be there. Are you crazy? And bad things happen, right? I mean, with the Uvalde school shooting, see, I did it again. I said I wasn't going to do this anymore. The Uvalde school shooting, there were parents that got into fist fights with cops trying to get into the school. And the cops arrested them, threw them on the ground, put handcuffs on them. Because the cops were not going in, and the parents were just like, you're crazy. I can hear the gunshots. I'm not standing out here behind a wall full of firearms and cowards holding them. I'm going in. I either die or I save some of those kids, period. There were so many. A lot of the parents left, went all the way around to the back of the school, climbed over the fence, and entered into the school the back way. But not the cops holding the firearms. They just stood there in the hallway and listening to the gunshots. Craziest thing you ever saw. So you would lose your mind if somebody tried to keep you from your child. You would just be furious and scared. You would be frightened, right? You would be like, what is going on here? Now, let me ask you a question. Christopher Proudfoot, Katie Proudfoot, Seth Rogers, which one of those three has acted like they're scared? Which one of those three have been angry and aggressive, demanding information about their child? Which one of the three have demonstrated tears of frustration? Which ones? So of all these stories, now, Seth, don't be mad. Don't be upset. We've called the cops. We can't find Sebastian. Don't get mad. How many parents do you think legitimately are Mr. Reasonable, I can handle anything, Christopher Proudfoot bullshit? No, none. Most of these parents have full-on meltdown. Most of these parents either collapse in the middle of the street, or they think this is not real. This is some kind of a practical joke. There's information here. Someone's withholding from me. Ask any cop when you are in a situation that you are having to tell someone that a loved one is missing, that a child is gone or deceased or whatever, ask them how many times they have been confronted with pure, unadulterated rage. A parent that has just been told that their child is dead from a car wreck and there is nowhere to go look at them, they can't see them, that parent is furious. I want to see my child. Why are you keeping me from my child? You're not going to be able to see your child right now. We need a few hours. Your child has passed. I want to see him now. Anger is normal. You know what's not normal? Well, I know he's dead right now, but I don't know why my child got in that car. I just don't know why he will open that door and get in that car. Okay, Katie, try to keep up, all right? We're no longer talking about the fact that your child walked out the door or not. Now we're trying to let you know we found your child's gone. I don't know why he got in that car. I just don't know. It is bizarre that she stayed so focused on the door for so long in these interviews rather than that expected, I got to find him. He's out there somewhere. I wonder who has him. Is he in a house? I wonder if he's got any food. I wonder if the people that are with him, I hope they're taking care of him. I wonder if he's got a bed to sleep in. I wonder if there's a dog there that might help him feel better. She never went there. But you want to know why? Because she was not wondering. There was nothing to wonder about. Theory of mind. Theory of mind's everything. Clearly, she and Christopher knew something that Seth did not know. Because Seth did demonstrate anger and frustration. Seth did demonstrate fear and sadness, frustration. Think about it. I see you, Reality Wins. Welcome. Good to see you. It's what she did not say which spoke volumes. Thank you, Trishy. 100%. It's what she did not say. It's what the emotion she failed to demonstrate. Her body language was off, big time off. That unfortunately. And it was so cold. Thank you, Kim. It was so cold in the nights after he was gone, wasn't it? It was so cold. You know, I had this, I'm not afraid of emotions, right? I've had people say, oh, you would think a psychologist wouldn't say that or do that. Well, okay. But, you know, emotions are okay. We all have them. Emotions are not bad. It's what we do when we have one that can be bad. So if I feel angry, I demonstrate my anger, right? I don't throw things and that kind of thing, but I will definitely say this is wrong. This shouldn't be this way. Emotions are like the gasoline to a car. Emotions are the fuel that you need to act, and different emotions create different actions. So if you're feeling happy, then you laugh and you have a good time. If you're feeling sad, you have low energy and perhaps you sleep. When you're angry, what that emotion is telling you is there's an injustice. Something's wrong that you should change, right? And I can remember with the Abby and Libby, the Delphi case, when they had the get together that evening, the girls are missing, and they had the get together, and the dad comes out, and not the biological dad, but the guy raising them. He comes out and he says, you know, Libby's phone is pinging all over town, right? And you had people that were out at the bridge searching. It's a dangerous place. It's not lit, you know, so it's dangerous. But here was the problem. It was going to be very cold that night. And the fire marshal and the sheriff, they all said, it's too dangerous to be out there. We're going to call off the search and we'll meet again tomorrow morning at like 10 a.m. It was crazy. It was late. It's like 10, 11 a.m. And I went, you SOB. Number one, you're all grown-ass men and women trained to do jobs like firefighting, police officers. You're rough people, rough and tumble people, adults. Not only that, you live in an area that gets some severe winter weather. You all have, 300 grain down coats. You've all got wool socks. You've all got great gloves. You've all got lights and lanterns. You've all got exactly the supplies that make the experience being out in that weather livable and survivable, dare I even say comfortable. And you have two young girls that are out there with not even a sweater. I think Libby had a sweater, maybe. They don't have a flashlight. They don't have a coat. They don't have hiking boots on. You guys, you grown men and women, you do have access to those things. There were even people that brought out frack lights. Why do you need to call the search off? What? Honestly, I would have lost my mind if I had been like a part of it, I just would have said, what else is happening here? Because this is nuts. Everybody just get your damn coats on and get back out on the trail and don't stop till you find these girls, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. And why do you want to restart the search at like 10 a.m.? Why not 6 a.m., 5 a.m.? Why 10 a.m.? It's crazy. So there are still basic things about the whole Delphi case that I look back at it and I just say there's a story there that was not told. People have moved on past all that now. Now they're just completely focused on this Richard Allen fella and whatnot. But something else happened there. And I always wondered, why did they call it off? Did they need to? Did they need to call it off so that someone could return the girls back to the general location? Were they returned through the cemetery and down the hill? It is a definite question. I'm a firm believer. The private drive right underneath the bridge, there was a car there waiting on them. They got into the car with someone, just like Patty said, her phone is pinging all over town. I think it was. And for some reason, someone was able to wield enough influence to get the searchers off the trail long enough to return the bodies. And we now know the bodies were 100% staged, even washed clean of blood. Let that sink in. It's one of the reasons that calling off that search in the middle of the night like they did, it's one of the reasons that makes me more likely to believe that this was an organized effort, that this was not one lone crazy person. Because there were really questionable things that were done. So when my son was kidnapped at 12 by another 12-year-old girl, she stole her uncle's van and credit card. She terrorized my son, driving 90 miles an hour. While we didn't know where he was, I was a mess. Thank you for your story, Reality Wins. And I am so sorry that happened to your child. So, so sorry. Unfortunately, a lot of kids are growing up cultivated into little psychopaths by the abuse they suffered, and then they turn that abuse on others, their peers. I'm just so sorry that happened. I hope your son is I hope he's been able to move past that. It's terrible. Terrible. Yeah, Marlena, you're so sweet. If you guys don't know Marlena Cantu, she is a very sweet person. So Marlena says, I'm so sorry, love, talking about reality wins, her son. So sad. Yeah, desired, same thing. I hope he's doing well. Yeah, and so, as you leave behind the accusations pointing the fingers at Seth or Chris or Katie, if you just start putting yourself into the role and asking yourself, what would I likely do? It becomes very easy to see Seth's behavior. Maybe he wasn't winning friends and influencing people, but it was certainly consistent with other parents of other missing kids. And I don't believe, not for a minute, even though this is a story that Christopher Proudfoot told, maybe the cops aren't sharing anything with Seth because of his behavior. We got that little nugget, didn't we? Here's what you don't know, Christopher Proudfoot. The cops are accustomed to dealing with the parents of missing kids, and the parents are angry and frightened. They would not look at Seth's behavior as being outside of the norm for that situation. In fact, they would expect it. And some people, Christopher Proudfoot, might say that your behavior and Katie's behavior was actually the anomaly. So you might want to be careful about that. You think you know everything, Chris, but I can tell by listening to you, you don't. You're just a legend in your own mind, Christopher. You don't know what you think you know. You do, you do that, Marlena. You tell them that Jules said so. All right? That's funny. You are so funny. My son was traumatized for sure. He's had therapy. He is now married, has a boy himself, and he's very protective. Right? When you yourself experience trauma as a young person, when you get older, you're on guard, want to protect your own child from that same type of event. Yep. So consistent. We can do it with each other all day long. You got to do it the same way with these cases. We all knew watching Chris Watts, the sermon on the porch, right? Him laughing, smiling. Oh, I just wish those kids would just come in and bum rush me and knock me over. Oh, that'd be so great. That is not consistent with a father of two little kids. When you talk about your children, it triggers emotion and your voice trembles and tears come to your eyes. And you're not having this fun little daydream about kids running and playing. You're thinking in the very real possibility of who has them. I hope they're okay. In some ways, even Summer Wells, there was this one interview where Dawn Wells is saying, well, maybe she's in a dungeon, or I wonder if she gets to get out and play. To me, that was consistent with someone that legitimately didn't know what happened to the kid. Now, the wife? No. Summer's mom, she's got the answers. I'm not altogether convinced that Dawn Wells knows what happened to his daughter. So he acted like the way he worded things, it seemed like he was a lot like Seth. It was like he doesn't know, like he didn't know, like his theories kept changing. But we're always parallel to some real life thing. Like, well, maybe he overdosed on some kind of sleeping medication. Maybe that's it. But then when he's talking to Christopher Proudfoot, he says, maybe you sent my kid off to a boot camp. Can I ask you guys a question? Of everything you know about Christopher Proudfoot, because he demonstrated it, right? Because he went on these channels and did these long interviews and we all got to watch, right? Of all the people you know, would Christopher Proudfoot be a guy that you might think to yourself, yeah, he'd probably send a kid off to boot camp to straighten them out? If you think that that would be consistent with what you've seen of Christopher Proudfoot, put a 1. If you think that Christopher Proudfoot is far too sweet and kind and empathetic to ever consider sending a kid to boot camp, put a 2. Let's see where this falls. Lady of Angel goes, yes. My answer would be, here, I'm going to type my answer in. Are y'all ready for my answer? Here it comes. Oops, YouTube rejected your comment. It's not spam. My comment ain't spam. Man, that is so unfortunate. It was such a great content. I think it's because I used a bunch of exclamation marks. Hold on. Paste. Let's see if it'll work. There we go. There's my answer. Does Christopher Proudfoot seem like the kind of man that would send a kid off to boot camp? Not yes, but hell yes. He would definitely send Sebastian to a boot camp. Yeah. Too many exclamation marks. 111 from Mark Klein. Sending an autistic kid off to boot camp. Are they out of their bloody minds? Well, I mean, I just don't know why he walked through that door. It's crazy. All right. So yeah, Seth in the early days was throwing out theories. Where could my child be? Like, what in God's name could be happening here? And the things that he came out with were consistent with real life things that Sebastian was living. It is perfectly authentic. And everybody, let me say this too, because everybody likes to say, oh, Seth is dumb. He's not smart. He's not sophisticated. Okay, remember that when you start saying, oh, he was pretending. He was coming out with all of these questions about where could Sebastian be because he was playing a role. You can't have it both ways. He's either got to be unsophisticated and simple-minded, according to you, or you have to trust that what I'm saying, he did. We all heard him. We all heard him going on these channels and these interviews. We saw his tears. We saw him sit there and talk as if he's like a 9-year-old kid, simply answering a question with, I don't know where my son is. He couldn't even get past that. So make up your mind. You think he's like pretending? You think he's playing a role? Because you got to be pretty sophisticated if you're going to do it to that level of confidence. Can't have it both ways. And that's all you guys are doing in these channels. One day you say one thing and then you change it so it matches something else later. It's nonsense. You're not even looking at reality anymore. So I remember him saying he thought KP may have given Sebastian too much medicine. It's crazy. Shaking his head. No, I don't know where my son is. I can't answer your questions. I don't know where he is. It is interesting that Sebastian disappeared just before Faith came to stay for the summer. It's really interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. Yep. I did a video. Hold on just a second. Let me give me 1 second. I don't remember the title of it, and I want to give you the right title. Euripides. Here it is right here. June the 8th, I made this video. Katie Proudfoot shadows Euripides Medea, nuances of guilt. All right, so this is my video. I know. It is a very strange title for this video, but we're going to kind of go way off deep into fiction. False, fake, made up. All right. Let's just be clear before we ever get started. That's interesting. This is fiction. Hey, Pam Frenchman, how are you? Justice Jane, how are you doing? All right, caught my first.
And the roofs of Corinth, over which I see evil hang like a cloud.
All right. So I used the play or the story Euripides Medea as a parallel to Katie's experience, right? That the story, what Euripides' experience is, that is what Katie, paralleling Katie's experience being caught between Christopher Proudfoot and Seth Rogers as mother to a child, right? And if you're not familiar with the play, the story of Euripides Medea, I played parts of this to show what the whole thing was about, okay? So it's it's like a 2-hour video, so I'm certainly not going to be able to play it here, but I want to give you the link. Here it is. Okay, so here is the link to this video. I'm going to beg and plead and cry. I'm going to have a temper tantrum like a 3-year-old. I'm going to beg you to go and watch it. Watch from the beginning up through the toward the end. We say, okay, we're just going to watch the rest of the play, and we let it play out. But the actual part where I'm kind of showing the motivations, the role of Katie and whatnot, I think about 50 minutes. I think 45, 50 minutes. So I hope that you will go and watch this. I have not seen anyone else. I haven't seen anyone that has even considered this possibility in terms of motivation for Katie. Did Katie have a motivation? Was there any payoff from having Sebastian gone? Because no matter what anyone says, and I know this is weird, so stay with me for a second on this. I absolutely believe 100% Katie Proudfoot loves Sebastian. Absolutely no doubt in my mind she loves this kid. No doubt. But she lost. Of all the Seth, Christopher, and Katie lost. She was really the only one with the agreement that had been struck up between Seth and Christopher. Katie was the only one losing. Christopher was going to get Seth was going to get Sebastian, what he wanted. Christopher was going to get Faith, what he wanted. And who was the only one that was going to end up childless without their child? Katie. Katie was disregarded and ignored by the two men in her life and ended up without her child, according to their agreement. These two men made an agreement without her. Yes, Sebastian can come live with you, Seth. And if Sebastian goes and lives with Seth, that makes way for Faith to come live with me and Katie. But Katie's the one having to give up her child. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. So again, this is not real life, right? I'm talking about the video with Euripides Medea. It's not real life. I'm not saying that Katie harmed her child. I'm saying look at the entire picture of Katie being manipulated between Seth and Christopher, and she and Sebastian and Faith are all caught in the middle. That's all it is. It doesn't change the reality of what happened. It is, maybe you're looking at this wrong. Seth is not this great, awesome person. Christopher is not a great, awesome person. Katie is not a great, awesome person. They're human beings. They're flawed. They've also got positive things about them. But in the end, if you only look at what was really happening in their lives, Katie is the one that was losing. Got to think about it. Matters. All right. JLR has gone over the edge. I didn't think that he went too far until his friend Magnolia a couple of weeks ago, they had JLR and Magnolia had a conversation on the channel, and JLR was very surprised, or he seemed to be, his tone of voice, he seemed to be very surprised when Magnolia said that she thought that Seth looked really bad, that Seth looked culpable. And I thought that JLR sounded surprised by that. I thought that kind of took him by surprise. And that was then the beginning of him starting to look at this case from a different perspective, saying, oh, well, what if Seth is guilty and it's actually Katie and Chris that are not guilty? And I thought I think that was the changeover. I think that was the changing point. Oh, Marlene. Now that is interesting, Marlena. See, I love it when somebody makes a comment that I haven't considered. I honestly think these creators are hating on Seth because of their hate for Bullhorn Betty. Is it? And it's not just Bullhorn. It's also Tony Mathis, isn't it? Seth stepped on a lot of toes of good YouTubers, people that had a lot of friends. They had an established reputation, people that trusted them. And Seth, I believe, under the influence of Tony, he made some bad choices. You could absolutely be right, Marlena. I mean, let's look. If Tony honestly had Seth's best interest at heart, would you choose Bullhorn Betty to match up Seth with? She is so controversial. She does such crazy things that are even antisocial, right? If you cared about somebody, that is not who you would bring into their sphere. And yet Tony did. I have a screenshot of Magnolia saying that she thinks one of Seth's hoodlum friends took Sebastian for Seth. Hoodlum friends? Do we have any, who are the hoodlum friends other than Tony? I mean, the people that were out searching with him were good people. They were like sheriff's deputy. Who's on the phone? Queen Moomin? Queen Mommin? I don't know, Mary. Queen, let's see. We got some drama happening in the side chat. Apparently, Christopher Proudfoot has been on the phone to Granny's Watching for the past 3 or 4 hours. Oh my God. So is that happening now? Like, are they? Oh, I hate these rabbit holes, y'all. I hate it. Let's look. Let me take a peek. Granny's Watching. And I gotta tell you, I watch Granny's Watching all the time. I like her. I don't like the drama. I don't like the attacks on other people. I hate that. But when she's talking about these cases and stuff, I like her. I think she's smart and interesting. Tony Mathis speaks on Nick Barris. Oh, please. If any video I'm going to watch, it's not going to be that one. Streamed 1 day ago. This is a 2 hour, 47 minute. 1, 2. I don't see any long 6 hour videos here. I don't think people are telling us the truth, y'all. Maybe it got deleted, perhaps. This one, but wasn't she was live earlier today because I was watching. It was something about Bullhorn Betty that she went live earlier was Bullhorn Betty, but now it's not showing up. Maybe you're right. Maybe she deleted it. I bet that's what happened. Because her live tab was the last videos 3 days ago, but I totally watched her this morning. She definitely went live this morning. The last video 2 months ago. Let me look at community. Here's a community post from 5 days ago. No, 4 days ago. She took down the live from this morning. Yep, Queen Mommin. She definitely took down the live from this morning. Interesting. Very interesting. She has just ended her live. So she ended it and has now set it to private or deleted it. And you think she was on the phone with CP for like 2 hours? She will go live about it. Go read the lab's upcoming title. See, I didn't say this, but I'm glad that. Okay, so the lab, he goes live at 12:30. Okay, so we're looking at like 9-10 minutes. And the title, I can share this with y'all. I hope you guys will go over and watch my video, the Euripides Medea video, please. Pretty please. All right. So I'm looking at the lab. Thank you, Queen Mommin. Okay, so he is going live in about 8-9 minutes, right? Like right now. Okay. And the title is Sebastian Rogers Case. Proudfoot's claim they were cleared, but not so fast. Totally agree. I think it's clear that Christopher Proudfoot has made many statements that were simply wrong, not true. Anytime, anywhere, I'll take your polygraph, Nancy. I'll take that polygraph. I'm brash. I'm a badass. I'm short. Oh, well, now, you know what, Nancy? Work with me here, babe. I'd love to take your polygraph, but law enforcement says I can't. You know, it's part of the investigation and HIPAA. So we got to be real careful. But Nancy, it's been so great talking with you, babe. Come visit us. We'll put you up for a couple of days. You can sleep in Sebastian's bed because that's the kind of guy I am. Shut up, Chris. Shut up. You're ridiculous. Okay. Yes, the Proudfoots are claiming law enforcement has now cleared them. I absolutely don't believe that. Not for a moment. Told the court in New Mexico that they are cleared. Man, that is unfortunate if true. And here's another question, y'all. Cleared of what? Cleared of what? According to them, he ran away and had no reason whatsoever because they were the greatest parents of all time, don't you know? Chris said what he had to in those court documents to get his daughter for the summer. That's all that is. The Proudfoots are claiming to have been cleared in court filings in New Mexico. Christopher Proudfoot is a master manipulator, or he could be also the master debater. What? Did I say that? Huh? They're going to be talking about this case for a long time. We have a special case because that's the kind of guy I am. I am Christopher Proudfoot, and this is not just any missing kid case. This is not the runaway of just any. This is not a boring, mundane, run-of-the-mill, commonplace runaway. This has to do with Christopher Proudfoot. This is a special runaway. This is a special, uniquely interesting case that law enforcement is going to be talking about for years to come. That is right. Anything having to do with me, Christopher Proudfoot, I'm brash, I'm bitchy, and I am short. It's special. And it's not just commonplace. And they are going to be talking about this forever. And we have been cleared. We are not considered suspects. The cops tell us everything. Shut up, Chris. You're like a little clown. You're like Lord Farquaad running around playing little funny clown tunes on your little Uzu. Nick Barris has made a statement. Okay, so what was Nick Barris's statement? You don't think it's going to take as long as Chris said it would? Chris and his crane. Chris got a big old crane. Mark, you know as well as I do. Sometimes those big old trucks, they're covering up to something itty bitty. Christopher Proudfoot, it's all right to be itty bitty, to have a little. All right. They are not cleared. You can call the sheriff's department and they will tell you that they are not. It is an ongoing investigation. None of them are cleared. Question. Oh, I'm glad you liked it, Jessica Rutledge. Look, Jessica, from the mouth of the most intelligent, wonderful, discerning person, Jessica Rutledge, she says the video of Euripides Medea is good. So she's saying, please go watch Jules's video. Thank you, Jessica. Christopher Proudfoot and Barry have a lot in common. I would like to believe. You know what I would like to believe? I would like to believe that Barry Morphew would listen to Christopher Proudfoot speak for about maybe 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And then what would he do, Mark Klein? What do you think Barry would do after listening to Proudfoot's bull? He would haul off and just knock his head off. Like I could just see Barry just sitting there looking at him. And Chris just mouth, I'm brash, I'm brilliant, I'm so special, and I got a itty bitty teeny weensy little polka dot bikini. And Barry's just going to sit there and listen to him because Barry hates everybody. He's just going to sit and listen to him, and then all of a sudden just, would that be the most satisfying thing to watch in the world? All fantasy, not real. Nobody's threatening anyone. Okay. Barry's off climbing a mountain somewhere. He's not anywhere near Christopher Proudfoot. All right. Let's see. He does have a size 14 mouth. Thank you, Desired. And he's wearing a size 3 toddler shoe. We are far too mature and discerning to be talking like this, ladies. Let's tighten up here. I give it about 15 seconds. You're generous with the minutes. Yeah. But am I right or wrong? Because, the truth is Barry Morphy's menacing. That's one of the things about him. He is he is a scary person. He's not playing. He doesn't even try to pretend to. He is what he is. He knows what he is, and he doesn't try to hide it. Christopher Proudfoot is a blowhard. He's just a mouth. He's like mouth of the South, right? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's HIPAA. Sorry, won't be talking about what I had for lunch yesterday. That's protected information underneath HIPAA. People are like, what? What are you talking about? You're so stupid, Christopher Proudfoot. Barry's not stupid. He's a smart guy. He's unhinged. He's got a lot of anger. He's got a lot of disappointment. He's bad dude. Believe him. He is a menace, truly. Look at there. We bring up Barry Morphew, and here comes Pretty Bird. How are you, Pretty Bird? It's good to see you. Had to stop and say Barry's socking Christopher would be epic. Donna, it would kind of be epic. It would be at least incredibly satisfying on some level, right? I know now people are going to go, oh my God, did you hear she was threatening little Christopher Proudfoot. A fatal paper cut. I had a fatal paper cut on my finger the other day. Made me so mad. When I get hurt, I just want to hit something. I hate for something to hurt. Let's see. The thing saying Katie and Christopher cleared is from Proudfoot's attorney responding to an emergency motion by Nina for custody. It's literally not factual. It's just an attorney doing what attorneys do. You are wonderful, fatal paper cut. Thank you for bringing some facts. Appreciated more than you know. Barry is jealous. I don't think Barry's jealous. I don't think Barry has the capacity to be jealous. I don't think that's his reality. Barry's Barry doesn't care. He doesn't care what you think about him, anybody. He cares about being, he doesn't want to be bothered. He don't want to have to be around people. He doesn't like people. He doesn't care that he doesn't like people. Like he'll tell you he doesn't like people. And he'll tell you, screw him. I don't care. He's a menace. the idea of a pro-social side to Barry is not there. It's just not. It's not who he is. He's like he's kind of like a robot. He does what he does. Doesn't pretend not to be. It's a lie. That attorney can be disbarred for that. Well, here's the problem with that, Reality Wins. The attorney will come back and say, the cops are not beholden to me or to Christopher or to Seth. The cops are not beholden to us to tell us. In fact, what do we hear Christopher Wray say all the time to Congress? We don't comment on ongoing investigations, correct? So if you believe that you are the focus of an investigation and you make a public statement and you say, I've been cleared, I'm not a part of the investigation, the cops are not going to come out and say, you a damn lie. You the main one we're looking at, buddy. They're not going to say that. Why? They don't comment on ongoing investigations. So even the attorney who says this, they still have a defense to it. They don't have any, no one can look at that cop and say, you know for a fact that he was under investigation. You knowingly lied to that judge. Why? Because they don't comment on ongoing investigations. So attorneys take advantage of that kind of thing and will say it. No, the cops are not going to break the secret of the investigation to come out and say, hey, Christopher Proudfoot, you said you were cleared. That's a lie. They're not going to say that to him. And was that his way of fishing for information? I'm talking about before. Was that one way for him fishing for information from the cops to say, well, they're telling me and Katie information. They're giving us information. Did he say that trying to see if the cops would come forward and say something? Maybe. He's kind of dumb. It wouldn't surprise me if he did do that. And I love the Lab's music. I just saw Dog the Bounty Hunter is looking for Sebastian. I got a little bit of that. People like Barry need to have a tattoo on their forehead. And what would that tattoo say, pretty bird? Caution. Caution. Yeah. He's a scary guy. He's like a shark. He's a scary guy. He'll hurt you. He'll hurt you. He doesn't care. It won't bother him if he hurts you. I love you too, M. Cause. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so the lab is live. I think I'm going to end this and go over there, and I hope you guys will follow me. But please, please, please go watch my video for Euripides Medea. All right? And Josh is live, so I will speak to you another day. Let's go see what he's got to say about you-know-who. Bye, y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. See you later.